Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another, I don't know, I want to say almost like, hopefully enlightening, peaceful discussion. I can realize I don't always need an adjective, right? I can just say, welcome to another Minecraft discussion, because I'm hoping that people are enjoying these. And people sent me some nice notes, a lot about my hats. A lot of Pikachu and Cookie Monster fans out there, and people are loving my monster hat. But anyway, my name is Kimberly Quinn, and it is my honor and privilege to be with you here in the woods today. It's just so crazy that it's whatever the date is. I think it's the 17th. Anyway, late December, and there's no snow on the ground. So for us skiers, we're like doing flurry dances, we used to call them on the ski team. So anyway, so today's discussion is going to be all about budgeting your holiday life minutes, because it's just budgeting for our life minutes is important in general. But we can get into the Christmas current, and I'm always saying Christmas because Hanukkah was so early this year, and it was over December 6th. And but also, I think, and I don't know because we do practice Christmas. We have plenty of friends who are Jewish and have some very cool traditions. It just doesn't seem like it has the same like sort of crazy momentum that Christmas does. I'm not saying that negative or positive, it just is what it is, right? And so it's important for us to really budget our life minutes, because every day is important, and it's so easy to forget that, when we're in the blur and all the shopping days left and shipping days left, and that's a whole nother thing. And they're doing the rounds with the cookies and bringing this to that one and bottles of wine to people, and doing whatever we're doing for planning and cooking and baking and everything. And it's important to remember that this day is important too. And I had this talk with my students during finals. Even though it's finals and you got 55 papers and 46 tests or quizzes or projects or whatever, this day is important. So, and I also say I tell them it's easier for me to say in this position, but I've also been in your position, and anybody can carve out 15 minutes. You can, even if you're a doctor in residency, you can carve out 15 minutes. In fact, if you had a stomach problem and headed to the bathroom, you can be there for 15 minutes. Not to be graphic, but I mean, let's just call it what it is. You can carve out 15 minutes if you have to, kind of thing. So we're going to talk about that today. So one of the things, and this will be a little bit related to the anxiety thing, but also different, is currently with the Rona too. I mean, it's important to just let go of it anyway, but I think the pandemic really helped us let go of a lot of stuff. It's definitely true for me, but the shipping situation isn't at its best right now, and people are doing their best, I'm sure. We've all been doing our best through this whole thing, and people are fatigued. People are really fatigued, and regardless of what your occupation is, and also as parents and people taking care of adult parents and all that sort of thing. And the shipping situation is just bleak. And so, in fact, I went on to Victoria's Secret for my girls because they had perfume, like a great perfume sale, and then it kept saying delay. I said, forget about it, like, who cares? And the thing is, like, there are things to spend and care about with our life minutes, and that's not one of them. And just let it go. We don't need to put a lot of life minutes into that. And I realized it when I was on hold for a while, life minutes ticking away. I'm like, this isn't meant to be. Let it go. To also let the whole shipping thing go, because if something shows up late, you can't control it anyway. So don't put any life minutes into worrying about it. It just doesn't make sense. And also, not to put life minutes, or say to reduce the life minutes spent on other things that are related to shipping, like clothing to wear to holiday parties. Or, in fact, to give you an example, it was actually our son's wedding. He surprised us. I mean, they're crazy in love. That wasn't a surprise, and they've been dating for a few years, but it was a surprise with the wedding, December 7th, right, during the holiday spin. I ordered a dress as fast as I could. Didn't make it. In fact, it's still not here, actually. And then I got a backup dress, which was ugh. And then actually I had a third string dress. And so I ended up wearing the third string dress because nothing showed up on time. So you know what? Here's the thing. Obviously our son's wedding is so important and special to all of us. But you know what? My dress wasn't. And so thankfully I didn't have to show up, naked, because I could draw attention and wouldn't be great for the photography and, the wedding album and stuff like that. But in the end, it just wasn't such a big deal. And I think pre-pandemic, I might have cared a little more, maybe. And I also couldn't find any shoes. I had to wear these old things. But I think, people are actually way too self-involved in general. I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just true. Who notices other people's shoes? Unless they're amazing and they jump out at you, no one's going to notice your shoes. No one's going to notice they had a couple little dings on the back of the heel. Like, who notices that? And if they do, are there really anybody you want to hang with anyway? So that brings us to another point, which is the company we keep. This is also true, in general, because the company we keep has a lot to do with our own well-being. And sometimes we hang out with people who, out of obligation, and we do things out of obligation. And the older you get, the less patience you have for that, I'll tell you, less tolerance, or I don't know what to say. But so if the truth is, sometimes we just outgrow people. It's not bad. I don't mean to outgrow as in we're better. I mean, like, you just go different directions. And I don't mean even romantic relationships. I mean friends. So it's kind of like layers of an onion, right? So you've got like your inner core people, like that you can count on, like partners and adult kids, and obviously your little kids. I'm about the count on part because they're little, but your little babies and your little toddlers, and and also your best friends are like on the inner circle, and that. So we want to budget a lot of life minutes for them. If I had a whiteboard behind me, which I don't want in the woods, because that would just be like, I don't know, like invasive or something. It's so peaceful and lovely out here. You make columns, okay, just like you would for an actual Excel sheet for spending money. Would you want to spend $80 on that sweater? Well, if you think you're going to walk out and be thinking about it for months and months because you absolutely loved it, then go ahead. Would you spend $80 on a piece of crap sweater? Probably not. We're not saying people are a piece of crap. I'm going to be really, that's not what I meant. However, if they're not your innermost people, even the second layer, you might have like a really good group of work friends. You really enjoy them. It's not even just small talk. Maybe you hang out as families and things, and they're important too. So life minutes go to them. And then the further out you get, though, it's really important to realize you don't have to be obligated just because you're used to them or they're used to you. And it doesn't mean to send them not to give them a pink slip, like, sorry you didn't make the cut, not hanging out with you anymore. You know what I mean? You can just gradually kind of fade out of it, because our life minutes, there's nothing more valuable. So I often say, spend your life minutes as if they are cash. And the only reason I think of like a Ben Franklin, and actually give my students big jumbo $1 million bills, and I actually write their names on them. Like let's say I'm the student, Kim, spend your life minutes as if they are cash, and it's a reminder. And a few students told me they actually framed them, which was really neat. So the reason I use the cash example is because there is nothing we can equate. There's no word to slap on our life minutes because they're that valuable. So the money thing is the closest visual I can come to, and we need to budget them just like that. Just like you'd spend, you reserve the, $80 for that fancy sweater. You don't want to blow it on one that's going to rip in 2 days, right? I mean, and so it's important that we spend our life minutes we're on the people who actually are our innermost people, who give us a lift, who bring us joy. And if they don't, it's kind of like an athletic team, first, second, third string, and maybe even they're the bench. And if they're toxics, then they're not even in the gymnasium. Forget the bench. They just need to go. I mean, I'm not talking about just a little challenging. I'm talking about a poisonous people. They just need to go. They don't make the cut to even be in the auditorium. Like, no, that's it. But it is important to realize our layers of the onion and budget some time for maybe the third string. If you do something once a year or whatever. But basically, when we, just like a budget with money, when we actually budget for money, we save money, right? If we're really careful, there's actually more money to do leisure stuff and spend time by ourselves. And that's the same with when we budget our life minutes. We save life minutes, which means we have more time for us. We have more time for us, and it is just so important. And the holidays aren't different. There's obviously there are loads of obligations and things, and really think about that. If you enjoy your holiday party, go. If you don't. That's just it. I do. I'm pumped for tonight. But and usually there's a bunch, especially if there's a partner, that you have a partner, then you've got theirs as well, and things, and if it matters to him or her or them, that counts if you're on your inner circle and that sort of thing. But it's very important to limit the feel like when I feel like I should do something. So I'm thinking like even like a baby shower, you know, if that's your own child or your best friend's child from, you know, your best friend's child or a niece that's important to you. If it's a third cousin 5 times removed, and you're you're enjoying this nice day sitting by the fireplace with a book, you got to think about the life minutes, because life minutes are just an exchange of energy, right? Do you want to give up that serene, peaceful time by yourself by the fireplace, or you're with a partner or one of your kids or siblings, best friend, whatever, to go to a third cousin twice removed baby shower and blow a whole Sunday afternoon? I don't think so, you know. But versus, is there a first layer, second layer person? Then, of course, otherwise, you know, send a present. That's it. So with the holidays, we have to go through and spend our life minutes, budget our life minutes too. How much time do you want to spend cooking? How much time do you want to spend baking? Can you delegate any of it? Can you delegate any of it, because it'll save life minutes? And then the whole gift giving thing, we talked about that, because I would say, if the shipping were better, if you don't want to spend all the time in the store, either reduce your buying or you know, do stuff online. But that's a little challenging right now. So the delegating thing is huge, because the whole cooking thing is big during the holidays. So when we delegate, there's a life minute saved for us. And also, saving life minutes, how do I say this right? Oh, it's so gorgeous out here. Wow. I hear some wind coming, but anyway. Also, we can save life minutes when, by stopping ourselves from unnecessarily feeling guilty. There's a lot of guilt in the holidays, and guilt has a job, right? It has a job to keep us from doing unkind things to each other, spreading a vicious rumor, punching somebody in the schnozy, you know, whatever. And then hopefully we apologize and fix it and let it go. Guilt, however, when it's hung on to, is a gigantic waste of emotional energy. Gigantic waste of emotional energy. And often in the holidays, because we become even more aware of people who are less fortunate in other ways, and it's easy, especially the more empathetic we are. I'm not saying don't be empathetic. God, please hear me, the disclaimer. No, we need more empathy in the world. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about unnecessary guilt, because we often get sucked into that, and it brings us down, which doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help somebody who's you know, housing insecure, food insecure, by feeling so guilty that maybe we have more abundance in our life. It's terrible. Instead, and not only does it not help, someone who's in an unfortunate place, it also sends a message to the universe that don't send me more abundance, because abundance is bad. It makes me feel badly about myself. I'm a really bad person because, you know, I make too much money, or I have a partner, I have partner and kids, and I have a house, I have whatever, and we're starting to feel badly. That sends a message to the universe. Don't send any more good stuff, because she said no. You know, and remember that abundance is infinite. Remember the pizza pie thing. If we take a second piece, it does not take away from anyone else as far as the universe goes. If you're at an actual pizza party, you know, someone doesn't ask, say, hey, has everybody had a first one before we take a second one? Yeah, right, that would just be bad manners. We're talking about universally, it's infinite. So bringing ourselves down doesn't free up emotional energy to be good to people anyway. So please don't spend your life minutes feeling guilty. It's a gigantic waste. A better plan would be to do something even on a small scale. The better to give of yourself. That's like the best thing and rewarding for everybody. But as far as, you know, maybe instead of feeling guilty, and make a statement, instead of feeling guilty, I'm going to go to the grocery store and fill up a reusable bag with canned goods and give it to the food shelf, or give it, if you even know a family, you know, go drop it on their steps. Or even better yet, the stuff that like food stamps or a limited budget can't do at the holidays especially, some really high-end coffee, high-end chocolates and candy canes for kids, and fill it up. Because if people are just barely making it, they can't do that stuff, and that makes people feel less than and awful. So get some high-end stuff, put it in a bag. Also stuff that's not typically covered by food stamps, like feminine hygiene products and Windex and stuff like that can be enormously helpful. But rather than feel guilty and sad, there's not enough guilt and sadness in the world to like fix that. It doesn't fix anything. And yes, be empathetic, and yes, it's better to come up with an action plan than just feeling sad and guilty. And I get sucked into it too, and that's consciously say to myself, doesn't make a difference, do something instead, it's just better. So remember, when we budget life minutes like we budget money, we save them. And when we budget life minutes in the way of stopping to worry, which is rehearsing anxiety, we're going to run out of time, so I can't get into that again, and budgeting life minutes by not letting us go down the wormhole of feeling sad and guilty for others, and instead coming up with an action, that we save such valuable life minutes. And not only does this give to us and make us better to ourselves, it makes us better partners, parents, siblings, sons and daughters, and it makes us better able to be generous to the world who don't have as much as we do. It's all better. So budget your life minutes and save them and spend them as if they were cash. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the beautiful woods in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day and watch those life minutes.